The United States has recorded the highest number of deaths in one day since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. According to latest estimates, the death toll rose to over 700, with close to 200 deaths recorded yesterday alone. New York's mayor also confirmed that more than 131 people had died in his city alone, while the governor of the state warned that a wave of caseloads would hit the region within the next 3 weeks. Now, these sobering numbers come as President Donald Trump considers reopening the country's economy by Easter, a window of 2 weeks that public health experts have not yet endorsed. Lawmakers in Washington have agreed to the biggest economic relief package in American history. The almost $2 trillion stimulus package seeks to put money back in the hands of lower-income Americans while supporting small and large enterprises, in addition to providing funds to hospitals and first responders. Now, the legislation is expected to be enacted before the end of the week. We've asked John LeBoutillier, a former Republican member of the United States House of Representatives from New York, to join us for some insights into this story. He is on Skype from Long Island, New York State. Mr. LeBoutillier, as always, it's a great pleasure chatting to you. A very good evening to you. Welcome.
I know. We always seem to talk when there's terrible things going on, Simpoy, but it is bad here. This is the epicenter in America, and I gather about to be the epicenter in the United States. I'm on Long Island, as you said, and all around me, and I'm 30 miles from the middle of New York City, and it's a ghost town when you drive around.
Tell me about it. I mean, let's start with you. How are you holding up with the coronavirus wreaking havoc in New York, and with you being in a ghost town there?
Well, I'm okay. I'm very smart about myself. I stay inside. I don't get near any people. So I'm okay. I worry about my fellow New Yorkers and fellow Americans. And, you know, my own observation is people are taking it very seriously and doing social distancing quite diligently.
And speaking of social distancing, I mean, with so many deaths in and around New York and the number of positive people rising daily, is the city coping? Can they really handle the number of deaths?
No. Well, I watch the Governor Andrew Cuomo, every day, who you're showing right there. And he's doing a really good job explaining the dire situation regarding how many people are going in the hospital, how many hospital beds we have for them, how many ICU beds we don't have. Obviously, the ventilators. You need a ventilator, just to make it clear to people. If you get this thing bad enough that you have to be in the hospital, it's because your lungs are compromised, often filling up with liquid, and you can't breathe. Thus, you need to be intubated and have a respirator do the breathing for you while the thing is hopefully resolves itself. And we don't have enough respirators in the country or in New York, and it's a dire situation. And these governors are doing a great job pushing to have somebody manufacture more respirators, ventilators, quickly.
Well, the World Health Organization has just predicted that the United States could be yet another epicenter of coronavirus after Italy, if not the world the world epicenter. Now, President Trump says he wants the nation to open up, and just raring to go by Easter, a date more than 2 weeks away that few health experts have not yet endorsed and believe will be sufficient in containing the spread of this virus.
Yeah, it's a big tension between him wanting to get the economy back on track and the medical world saying we're not ready to do that. We have to keep people separated to keep the virus from spreading even farther. And it is an expected tension. Logic says do what worked in China, South Korea, Singapore. Total clampdown, total social distancing and social isolation. Isolate the virus to keep it from spreading. You have to test a lot and keep people who are infected away from everybody else. And if you do that, the stricter you do it at the beginning, the quicker you'll come out at the other end. China now is about to reopen Wuhan after 2 months of draconian shutdown. Here, New York is shutting down, New Jersey, Connecticut, they're the tri-state metropolitan area, but other states haven't quite gotten as caught up to this yet. And what I worry about is Trump starts saying, oh, we're going to open things up. People stop isolating and start getting close to each other, and off we go with the virus spreading all over again.
And Senate leaders and the Trump administration said earlier on Wednesday morning that they've reached a deal on a $2 trillion stimulus package to help relieve the economic impact of COVID-19. So will this stimulus package be enough to keep the United States afloat?
Probably enough to keep it afloat, not doing particularly well. We'll probably have to do another one, my guess is, in another month to 6 weeks. Another trillion or more to inject money into this economy to keep it going, so that when we come out of the other side, which is clearly months away, there'll be the remnants of an economy to revive. And by the way, not that this should be a big part of it, but it is in the mind of Donald Trump, is he wants to get reelected in November. And he believes that he can't get reelected if the economy is in the toilet. And so he needs things to get jobs going again and money being spent and all. And he's putting pressure on for that reason, which is it's understandable. But the bigger picture here is the health of our fellow citizens, not next November.
Yeah, and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said that this stimulus package is not enough at all. Why is he seemingly so pessimistic?
I saw this press conference today, simply, and I don't understand. The thing was negotiated by the Senate Minority Leader, Charles Schumer, who comes from New York City. And I can't understand why this bill doesn't have enough money in it for New York City and New York State to make Governor Cuomo happy. Now, we haven't seen the bill yet. It's being written as we speak, and then it'll be voted on later. We'll find out. But there wasn't, out of $2 trillion, there were only like $4 or $5 billion for New York City, which Cuomo says is not enough. They are expecting, if I have it right, 155,000 people maybe to be in ICU beds, maybe it is in New York or something. It's an astronomical number. And we don't have that many beds. And we need to get them and get places to put them and doctors and ventilators. And that's going to cost a lot of money. And this bill should have taken care of that.
And I mean, as the numbers are astronomical, with the WHO warning that the United States could be an epicenter, but it seems that President Trump isn't planning a national shutdown, which most of these countries, which are epicenters, are applying or implementing. Why? Why isn't Trump? Why isn't Trump imposing a national shutdown?
Well, first of all, under our system, the governors do it, not the president, really. So the governors of New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Vermont, Massachusetts, all up here in the Northeast, Illinois, Ohio, California, Washington State, they've all done a shutdown in their states. It would help if the president would go along with that. But a week ago, he announced 15 days of a shutdown. And halfway through it, he's already blowing that off and saying, oh, we got to get things going again and reopen stuff. He couldn't even stick with his own 15 days. So he's just off on his own thing.
And he also says that, in the next 2 weeks, the United States economy will be back to normal. Where is he basing this on?
Well, no one believes that. But he says it because he wants to have a positive mindset. You've seen this. Now, in the 3 years he's been president before this virus, the single thing he touts more often is the incredibly high stock market. And he links that to his reelection, that high stock market means the likelihood he'll get reelected. Stock market has gone way down because of this virus, come back a little bit the last 2 days, but let's face it, it's a reflection of our economy's in trouble. And he thinks he's got to get that stock market back up in time to get himself reelected.
So you're insinuating that he doesn't actually care about the coronavirus crisis in America. He's only concerned about his re-election.
I don't think he cares about it. I mean, he cares about it if it'll affect his election. But 3 weeks ago, this guy was going out calling this thing a hoax, that we've got it under control. It's not a big deal. There are 15 cases. It'll be down to none. It'll magically disappear. Does that sound like a guy that is worried or was worried about it or took it seriously?
All right, Mr. Lebutilia, thank you so much for your thoughts and for your reflections. That was John Lebutilia. He's a former Republican member of the United States House of Representatives.